Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. With the last major update happening and a bunch of changes coming in for the Coelian and also the Tiger 2105, it's got me thinking about different things. Obviously for me, I would really love those vehicles to come back. I think everybody should get access to them, especially because of the fact that they've mega buffed the Coelian and it's gonna go up in BR. You've got a horrific kind of like catalytic problem right now with the Coelian, where you have a bunch of experienced players who have access to it, you buff it so it can basically front pen a bunch of heavy tanks and annihilate stuff, and basically no one else can get access to it. So it's going to have a really, really forced, very, very high win rate, and yeah, it's going to balloon upwards. But generally, I would like to see these vehicles back for the game, just from a balance point of view. The fact that some people have access to older stuff and other people don't and can never get access to it has always annoyed me when it comes to War Thunder. This brings me on to another point, which is of course events. Events are something which are integral to War Thunder. They keep people coming back, they give, continuous content, and generally it's something to look forward to when it comes to the year. You have the winter event, which is like the big grandiose one with 4 vehicles nowadays. You used to have stuff like the Build-A-Bear events, the workshop events or the crafting events. You used to have stuff like the World War II Chronicles, you had World War modes, you had all of these different events that would happen around the year for people to look forward to. Nowadays, you still have similar stuff. You have the Pages of History every month, as I said, the winter events, and then also you have the individual events, which I actually think work better than the old events. But one of the key things that is missing is access to those old vehicles from those events. A lot of them are available on the gadget market, but guess what? If you are a console player, you don't have access to the market, so you're not able to get access to them unless you get very lucky in gambling boxes. Gaijin has decided to push more SL boxes and, addictive gambling boxes than general events for these things, and that's the only way to be able to get a sniff at any of these old vehicles, and that just kind of makes me sad. So I've been continually thinking about ways of actually bringing back those vehicles, and the idea of replaying events to me is always kind of there. So you know how there's a lot of games nowadays that have old versions of themselves, so you have like WoW Classic, right? And then you also have, I think it's RuneScape, which has kind of like a classic version and then like a more modern version. This has been incredibly popular when it comes to gaming, especially the nostalgia hit that playing the old games give you. Now, when it comes to War Thunder, I don't think that would actually work. I think the idea of a War Thunder classic game, people would probably get kind of annoyed at it because there was a lot of problems with old War Thunder, and in my opinion, the game has just kind of got better and better as it's gone along. Of course, the balance is a little bit out of whack, but there were certain times in War Thunder's history where the balance was insanely out of whack compared to even now. Top tier's always a mess nowadays, but guess what? It's always been a mess when it comes to War Thunder, even back in the days where it was just the Canadair Sabres versus everyone else, or the MiG-17s versus everyone else. So when it comes to War Thunder, you can't really create like a classic version and it just be an inferior product compared to the standard War Thunder. And also, because of the fact that you don't want to split the player base, since it's mainly a PvP game, it's not really going to work. It's the same reason why we'll never really get a War Thunder 2, for example, because they want to keep everybody in the same game, so they're just going to keep updating it. So how do we bring back old events? Well, you could just run them again. You could have a season where it's like, okay, we're going to play some of the old stuff, the old events, and just bring them back. And that would be a way to do it. It would mean, though, that it would probably replace newer content, meaning that you would get kind of a situation like you have in the Battle Pass, or you have in the general events, where you get less vehicles nowadays compared to the previous ones, because they would have to take away from the new in order to put in the old. And that's not really a great idea. For me, I much prefer additive stuff, which is more up to the player in order to set up, instead of letting it, just be something that Gaijin kind of controls. So I've been thinking about ways of doing it, and I think the perfect solution for this type of thing is to actually use the Battle Pass. You have the Warbond shop, right? The Warbond shop in the Battle Pass is something that runs alongside of it. So as you get a new season of the Battle Pass, you also get a new season of the Warbond shop. The Warbond shop has been slightly improved over the period of time. They've increased a lot of ranks of vehicles, and also they've added a few more things to it. There are many improvements that would be really nice to see, such as stuff like SL talismans, for example, or even a modification box for specific vehicles, but at least it has improved. Imagine if every time you had a Warbond shop, instead of just having what you have now, what if there was a special event that you could open up for X amount of war bonds, and what it would do is it would set up one of the old events onto your account in this present day. So for example, if you, let's say, missed the World War II Chronicles event from 2018, which of course is a very long time ago now, and you missed out on something like the T18E2, which was available in the 2018 Chronicles of World War II event, what if it sparks a modern version of that event, which plays by the same rules as that event, and you have to follow it individually. And if you complete that event, then you get the vehicles from the event. And that, to me, I think would be really cool. Now, there are certain events that would have to be kind of modified, such as Chronicles of World War II, because that didn't actually take place in standard matchmaking. That took place in the Events and Tournaments tab, and you had to play specifically through there. But what they could do is they could use the Pages of History system, where you just use the vehicles from those specific events, get the challenges done, and then kind of go from there, and you would be able to get the vehicle. They could easily run old summer events or old winter events, or even they could run some of the old tournament stuff, such as the Spitfire that was available in a tournament setting, where if you got, I think, X number of first places, you ended up with the Spitfire. You could do that, but you could do it over the same period of time in standard matchmaking, meaning that people could get access to these old vehicles and also at the same time grind out the Battle Pass in order to do it. And maybe if you wanted to make it quite hard to do, you could just make it really expensive when it comes to Battle Pass. You could even expand past the 3,600 Warbond thing. You could go even further than that. Now, obviously for me, I wouldn't want that, but it would be cool if they actually added in a system like this so people could play those old events, see how tough they were, because some of them back in the day, like the KV-1B event, for example, or stuff for like the Russian Cobra, the King Cobra, for example, was just insane. The amount that you had to do for them. And what you could do is, in a modern setting in War Thunder, you could also do those too. They would also be incredibly hard, but you could at least give them a go. And I think it would be nice, not just from a nostalgia point of view, but also showing new players what a lot of those old events were like, and also giving them access to the content from them, giving the idea of War Thunder nostalgia a foot in the game, which we've seen be so successful in so many other games. We live in a time where, yes, there's a lot of new games coming out, but we also have a lot of remasters. We have a lot of HDs. We have, as I said, WoW Classic, and also many other classic versions of games coming out. Recently, I've been playing the Strongholds, right? Because they've been releasing their definitive editions. Incredibly fun and enjoyable to play. But basically, they're just the old games with some new missions and also a new lick of paint. And in terms of War Thunder, you can't really do that. So the only way you can do the nostalgia hit is by bringing back old stuff. And that's how you do it. And that's how, through the Warbond shop, you would give people access to old content that is not allowed basically anymore. And talking about stuff like the Coelian, the Tiger 2, the R2Y2, the PT-76 for China, the Year 2M tats, the SP2Ms that were released, or, you know, they were removed, the Italian vehicles in the German tech tree, you could have a period of time where in one of the battle passes, it unlocks some of those vehicles to research, and it could be just called, I don't know, 2016 nostalgia or something. And it means that you have a week to be able to research the vehicles, you get access to them forever, and you get to keep them. Because guess what? Those vehicles are still updated, as we saw in the last update, and they're still ready to go. All of them are in the game and people have access to them. And a lot of them people cannot get access to, especially some of the removed vehicles from back in the day, which were removed for I don't even know what reason, like the Year 2 MTADs and also the SBs. So why not give people access to them and also do it through a way where they have to grind the game in order to get them? It seems perfect for me. So hopefully in the future, they do it. Let me know your thoughts on it. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.